Stephen Miller is running the White House at this point because I cannot watch another clip of pudding pouring out of Donald Trump's ears as his brain completely declines, not that it was starting from some strong place, and believe that he is in charge or understands what's happening around him. He clearly doesn't. All that he knows is that he wants to cover up his hands so you can't see his decline. But his decline is leaking out of his White House, not just reports of Stephen Miller's power, but of reports of Donald Trump's very disturbing health secrets, and one that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into that leak, what is being shared about Donald Trump's very deteriorated health, I want to start with a Democrat who ripped into Donald Trump's demented state, and that was Gavin Newsom right here. Newsom reignites his theory that Trump 79 has dementia. Gavin Newsom is still on dementia watch. The California governor reignited speculations about the state of Donald Trump's mental faculties after the president rehashed a long-debunked claim about the state's response to the devastating Los Angeles wildfires in January. During a rambling speech awarding the Presidential Medal of Freedom to slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk on Tuesday, Trump once again claimed that California's response to the wildfires was hobbled by its refusal to let water come in from the Pacific Northwest, even though that doesn't connect to the state's water systems. If we didn't go into Los Angeles early on in this administration, we would have lost our city, he said. Now they already lost 25,000 houses to fire because they wouldn't let the water come in from the Pacific Northwest, which they should have done. I said it. You better do it. They didn't do it. Would you have been a different kind of thing if you did what you were supposed to do? Newsom responded on X, posting a screenshot of an AI search query. Is not having a sense of reality a symptom of dementia? Newsom asked the search engine. Yes, losing a sense of reality, such as perceiving things that aren't real or believing things that aren't true, can indeed be a symptom of dementia, the AI responded. The White House did not immediately return a request for comment on Tuesday. Just last month, Newsom told Grandpa Trump to take your dementia meds after the president made some claims about refusing water from the Pacific Northwest. After Trump ordered Newsom to turn the rest of the water on, the California Democrat responded by posting a screenshot of another AI chatbot's affirmative response to the question, do people with dementia repeat false things over and over again? In January, Trump became the oldest president to be inaugurated at the age of 78. Since celebrating his birthday in June, the president has faced relentless questions over his health, thanks to sightings of bruised hands, swollen ankles, and numerous mental flubs. Psychologist John Gartner told the Daily Beast podcast that he observed a major deterioration in Trump's language skills, motor skills, and impulse control. He used to speak with a high level of vocabulary and very polished paragraphs. Not really, but now what we see is only vocabulary. It's gone down. But there are times when he's really unable to complete a thought. Sometimes he's unable to complete a word. Yes, Donald Trump is in very clear decline, and I don't understand why everyone in the mainstream media, it seems, except for Lawrence O'Donnell, refuses to acknowledge that Donald Trump has become more deranged than ever, and of course he's only surrounding himself with yes men who feed into his wildest ideas while behind the scenes they do whatever they want. Remember when Donald Trump realized, because some of his rich buddies called him, that rounding up immigrants and rounding up undocumented people in hotels and on farms was maybe a bad way for them to do business? Donald Trump got that call and said, we're not doing these ICE raids in these places anymore. And then Stephen Miller said, well, I'm going to do whatever I want because he's a sick, twisted, evil fuck. Yeah, Donald Trump wasn't going to do anything about that because Stephen Miller is controlling Donald Trump's illegal immigration plan. He is in control of this criminal operation, and he should be held accountable for it. Maybe we should keep Alligator Alcatraz open. But on Trump's health, this is the line that the White House is delivering.
Will you guys also consider releasing the president's fitness plan? He actually looks healthier than ever before. Healthier than he did 8 years ago, and I'm sure everybody in this room could agree. Is he working out with Bobby Kennedy? And is he eating less McDonald's?
I can confirm the president is in very good shape, as you see, on a near daily basis here. And in that vein, thank God it's Friday. It's been a very long and busy week here.
Are you really expecting me to believe, Carolyn, that Donald Trump is healthier than ever? The guy covered in bruises, the swollen cankles, the inability to walk straight, the inability to finish a sentence. Donald Trump is in clear decline, and MAGA wants to cover up for it. But there are some close to Donald Trump that are telling some of his health secrets, explaining the reason why he is so puffy, so bloated, and so gross. And it's by describing what Donald Trump is eating on a daily basis. It might disgust you, but it just shows why he is in the condition that he is at this point. Trump ally dishes on the president's utterly twisted McDonald's order. The chairman of the Republican National Committee claims that he knows the president's secret, unique, and totally grotesque McDonald's order. Joe Gruters, a Florida state senator, told a local government podcast that he had never seen anything like it. Gruters was asked, "What's been one of the funniest things that happened to you on the trail?" He replied, "The amount and what the president eats." He had hot fries waiting for him from McDonald's, then he had a fish fillet, a quarter pounder, and a Big Mac, and I think he combined two of them, Gruters told the Chamber's Changes in Conversations. He did not elaborate on which two of the sandwiches were jammed together to create a hideous Frankenburger. He also claimed that he saw the president drinking orange soda, which goes against his usual preference. McDonald's serves both Fanta and High C, Orange Lava Burst, but it's unclear which may have tempted him away from his beloved Diet Coke. I'm thinking to myself, how does this guy that's as senior as him get away with eating all this McDonald's on a consistent basis? According to McDonald's own nutrition guide, those menu items total a combined 2,372 calories. Older adult men are generally advised to consume around 2,000 calories per day. Gruder said he was sick as a dog after just eating 2 of McDonald's sandwiches during the podcast episode. So for all of you who are like me and wishing and praying and hoping that this nightmare ends soon, it seems like the double fish fillet, 12 nuggets, 3 extra order of fries, 2 large soda, I guess like breakfast, lunch, and dinner that Donald Trump is eating every day might go somewhere to help us, not be living in this reality anymore. Not that JD is any better, but this is just disgusting. You're going to tell me that this guy is in tip-top shape? Now, there's no one who likes a little late-night McDonald's like myself, and hey, I've been known on a night out when maybe I have one too many sodas and you're getting back to your place. You're like, I'll fire up a little DoorDash or a little Uber Eats. Yeah, what's wrong with getting a little McDonald's? I like a little McDonald's. But this, consistently, at his age and his cognitively declining state, it just doesn't really scream make America healthy again. And neither do the giant cuts to healthcare that Donald Trump is carrying out right now with an administration that fundamentally doesn't care about people and their costs. The one thing they said they were going to do. But this isn't the only news around Donald Trump's health that's been making headlines recently. Caitlin Collins detailed an element of Trump that is very strange, and it also confirms some of my beliefs, my strong-held beliefs about his dementia. Just listen to what she had to say right here.
You never want to be on Air Force One on a trip. And I said, why? Like, you'd think you want to be in the axis of power close to Trump. He doesn't sleep on these trips. And you're going to Asia or something, and that's kind of the only time you're going to sleep before you go on this trip.
Yeah.
But Trump is just always up and talking, and he'll have them go wake staff up if they're asleep because he wants to talk to them.
Huh.
And so we have this big trip to Asia coming up, and you're not going to sleep on that flight.
They talk about him not sleeping like it's a good thing. Like, oh, he's up all night and he's constantly talking to the press. One, an inability to sleep is a symptom of dementia, which Donald Trump, again, clearly has. But I think it's also important to point out the reverence with which Caitlin Collins talks about her press access to the president. I understand Caitlin's a reporter, Caitlin's a journalist, this is her job. But it just always feels like the mainstream media is selling us out for the worst sound bites of Trump. That they would much rather have him screaming bullshit at them for an extra couple of hours every week than a competent president who maybe gets them less flashy news to report on. And it's just so incredibly disappointing that they still wear these kid gloves with him and that Trump could spout off in some insane speech in which he brags about Charlie Kirk not being able to dodge bullets as well as him. And the New York Times writes it up as like, Trump talks about Kirk, says, yeah, and that's it. That's why I love the Daily Beast. I want to give them a shout out. I use their stuff a lot when we're talking about reporting on this show. Because they always write like Trump 79 does some batshit stuff because his brain doesn't work anymore. And it's like, that's how we should be talking about him. That is how we should be talking about Donald Trump's health. And speaking of health, we also need to be talking about Donald Trump's cuts to health care, which AOC and Bernie were doing last night. And I want to take a look at this clip right here.
They need to pick up a phone. They're saying that they're doing all this work. They are twiddling their thumbs and talking to each other. It is actually an unconscionable abdication and refusal to work. They refuse. I've never seen people who hate working so much in my life. I mean, genuinely, they won't even pick up the phone. They won't. If I were Mike Johnson, you should be in that office negotiating with Hakeem Jeffries every damn day until we reopen this government. And any day that you don't do that is a failure. It is a failure. And until there is accountability for people who refuse to work, then we're going to continue to be in this cycle. So, you know, in the Senate, the Senate Majority Leader is John Thune. He should be negotiating with Chuck Schumer. President Trump should be having congressional leaders in the White House. Do you see that every day? No, you don't, because they're playing golf and they're going to Mar-a-Lago, and the House and Republicans in the House have been on vacation for weeks now. We are here in Washington, D.C. We are ready to work. We are ready to strike a deal. We're not here to just be my way and the highway about everything. But what we're also not going to accept is the complete collapse of the American healthcare system, so that just because the Republican Party has decided to take 1 million federal workers hostage.
Can I ask you on that?
I think something that hasn't been talked about enough and considered in these conversations around the shutdown is that I know that we are incredibly worried about the mass layoffs that are happening to federal workers. Those were predicted a while ago. We knew that was happening in Project 2025. So if you're a federal worker and you voted for Donald Trump, I really don't know what's going on. But I feel like there has been some hesitancy from Democrats when asked, why are you allowing the shutdown? And we're not in charge, by the way, so it's not our fault, to continue when people are getting laid off. I just want to say, Donald Trump is laying people off anyways. What Democrats are trying to do, what AOC described, is the long-term fight that we are in to keep people from dying. Bernie Sanders reiterated it again and again last night. 15 million people kicked off their health care. Every year going forward after that, 50,000 will die unnecessarily. So I think that we need to put those stakes in perspective and talk about this as not like a policy back and forth, but a fight over a fundamental human right, and that is healthcare. And we are going to continue to frame it that way, as the rest of the mainstream media should on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to support the show in another way, you can click right here to subscribe to my Substack. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.